With the release of Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 late last year, is it time to move on from 2020's Microsoft Flight Simulator? Well, the very short answer is no, in my opinion anyway, but there's certainly a lot of discussion to be had, just from what I've seen in my community and beyond. So in today's video, I'll be sharing my thoughts, discussing the future of Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, and asking for your thoughts. I should say, this is not a direct comparison video, as there's plenty of those about, but more of a relaxed discussion about the state of the sim. Before we get into it, make sure you've subscribed if you haven't done already, and now for a very quick word from today's video sponsor. Today's video has very kindly been sponsored by our friends over at FSAcademy, who want me to bring to your attention their upcoming training pack for Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 Interceptor. Coming soon to the new sim, this is a great way to develop your instrument flying skills, which are applicable from flying in light aircraft all the way up to the big airliners. Interceptor contains 30 all-new IFR lessons, created by a real-life airline captain, from the basics of VOR navigation to the modern-day glass cockpit. I've always been a big fan of FSAcademy's products, as long-time viewers of the channel will know, so it's an honour to have them sponsor today's video. FSAcademy's Interceptor will be available from the Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 marketplace shortly. With Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 being out for the last few months, you'd expect there to be a mass exodus of simmers moving from one sim to the next. Quite clearly, this hasn't happened, and indeed I still use both Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 alongside the new 2024. Now there's a few good reasons for this, and the most obvious goes without saying that Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 is just not there yet. Now I do believe that with time the new sim will come to a point where it is the best platform. Without a doubt, it's certainly the superior product when it comes to graphics and flight model, at least compared to 2020. But there's also the fact that the new career mode seems to be a big hit with the more casual flight simmer. Indeed, the Asobo team confirmed that more people are using career mode than free flight. But, and there's a big but, it is not stable enough for it to be a reliably enjoyable experience. Some days it works perfectly fine, and on other days it is an absolute pile of And that's where Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 comes in. In a sort of sense of irony, I really do think we have just about reached the peak of this simulator. In terms of sim stability, it's better than ever. Just the other night I completed a 10-hour or so long-haul flight from London to Hong Kong in the fly-by-wire A380. And while yes, I'm sure there's better ways to spend my time, it went without a snag. On both PC and Xbox, it definitely seems to be running very well, and I do try Xbox occasionally, although I will admit to being a PC simmer 9 times out of 10. So after years of updates and tweaks, it looks like we finally got to a time where for the most part the sim is as smooth as butter. I don't believe I've seen my Flight Sim 2020 crash this year, although maybe that's because I'm comparing it to 2024, which is an absolute hot mess at times. On Microsoft Flight Sim 2020, we've definitely got to a stage where there's the greatest amount of add-ons lined up, from the classic offerings from PMDG to freeware aircraft that we couldn't have imagined years ago, such as the fly-by-wire A380 and the headwind A330-900neo. There's superb traffic add-ons, brand new AI-powered air traffic control, and everything in between. I really do think it is the golden age of flight simulation when it comes to how much you can do with the sims, and in my opinion, it's Flight Simulator 2020 that holds that crown at the moment. As I said, with time, I think the new sim will become the best option. Indeed, we've got Sim Update 1 just around the corner, although even that seems to be chaotic with numerous delays. I do think it will certainly be interesting to see what happens there, but for the time being, I do think the best option is to use both sims, if you can. There's certainly no need to delete 2020, especially if you've invested time and money into setup and add-ons, but 2024 also deserves some limelight, as it is incredibly capable, at least when it wants to be. If you're in a position where you're deciding between the two sims, luckily it's not too much of an expensive endeavour. In the short term, you can try out both via the Xbox Game Pass. Another positive to look out for is the fact that Flight Sim 2020 can often be found on sale now, as it is indeed a previous edition. Looking into the future, as it stands, Flight Simulator 2024 is going to get the most TLC from the Microsoft and Asobo team. It makes perfect business sense, as it's the new product out, it's the one where they're putting their money to, and therefore their time to. Now that's not to say they're abandoning Flight Sim 2020, indeed the Asobo team have confirmed that they will continue to support this sim until at least 2028. Now there was a bit of ambiguity when the team spoke about this, but at least we know that 2020 will still be receiving updates for a few more years to come. And that does include some backported features from the new sim, which is hopefully quite exciting. If you want another good guarantee of good things coming to 2020, then you only have to look as far to the InnyBuilds A350, which is coming to both flight simulators. On the other hand, some developers are only releasing products for either 2020 or 2024 separately, so do keep a keen eye out on compatibility. I do think it's important to bear in mind that for many it is simply the easy option to stick with Flight Sim 2020. When you consider all the tweaking, all the control setup, add-ons and optimizations many of us have done to Microsoft Flight Sim 2020, and couple that with the poorly optimized new sim, it's clear to see why many people may be hesitant to move on. And indeed, I know some members of the community are reporting a seamless experience with Flight Sim 2024. I am not one of them, but it does deserve a mention that some people are really enjoying the new sim. What do you guys think? Well, I think I might have the answer from a poll I put out a few days ago. Over 1,000 of you got back to me, and it looks like Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 got a supermajority, with over 50% of you still using only Flight Sim 2020, and incredibly, 3/4 of you are using Flight Sim 2020 by some means. It's some really interesting data there, but to be honest, from the feedback we've seen across the internet, it is exactly what I expected. So it looks like you, the viewers, have answered my question. It's quite clearly not time to move away from 2020 just yet. In my eyes, it's best to make use of both if you can, making the most of incredible graphics in 2024, especially for the likes of VFR flying, or with the new career mode, if that interests you. But 2020 for me and for most of the community remains a stable alternative that of course still looks fantastic, and importantly, can be depended upon when you want your flight sim fix. Share your thoughts down below, I would be very interested to hear them. On that note, I hope you've enjoyed today's video, more of a laid back discussion compared to my normal content, but I'd be very interested to hear what you think about this format. If you did enjoy, do be sure to like this video and maybe leave a little comment down below. Of course, feel free to subscribe if you haven't done already, but from me today, that is all. A big thank you to FSAcademy for sponsoring today's video. I'll see you very soon, and bye bye.